You're good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mental Health Action Week Group X on Yoga on Demand. And we are organizing this event in collaboration with Kubrick. So thank you so much, Laura. And please welcome Laura. She is our instructor today for the yoga session. Over to you, Laura. Thank you.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Laura, and I will be leading us on our yoga practice today. In yoga, we call it a practice because it's never perfect, that we're always going to be striving towards that goal. So I'd like us all to just take a moment and think about what is our goal for our practice today. Maybe we want to hold a pose a little bit longer than we have before. Maybe we want to reach deeper into a stretch, or maybe we're just using this to really clear our mind, to take a break from work, take a break from studying. No matter what that goal is, there might be a time when we can't quite reach that pose. We might fall out of a standing pose, and that's perfectly okay. It'll happen to all of us, and we can just remember that yoga is about practice. It's about being imperfect, but still striving towards that goal. So we're gonna start today with our legs crossed, one foot in front of the other, and just walk those hands forward, making a nice stretch with your lower back here, letting that head drop down, trying to really lengthen from that lower back up. Don't want to curve our back inwards. Deep breath in here, and then a deep breath out. One more deep breath in, and then a deep breath out before walking our hands back up to center. Now let's cross and put that other foot in front, whichever foot we had in front before. Now we can tuck it underneath us. And again, walking those hands out. We're gonna start class today with just some dynamic stretches before moving into sun salutations, standing poses, and then sitting poses. Taking a deep breath in here, and then a deep breath out. Noticing if maybe one side feels tighter than the other. Deep breath in again. And then deep breath out. Now we're gonna move into our tabletop position. So occasionally in today's class, I'll face towards the front, but I'll also be turning towards the side, just depending on the pose and depending on what gives you the better picture of what we should be doing. So starting here in our tabletop position, we have our wrists right under our shoulders and our knees right under our hips. We're gonna take this into cat-cow. So arching our back, lifting that spine towards the ceiling. That's our cat, and then dropping it to cow, letting that stomach drop and lifting our head towards the ceiling. This is our cat-cow. We can do a couple of these at our own pace here. Deep breath in as we come into cat, and then deep breath out as we come into cow. One more. If at any point we need me to speak up, feel free to just say something. I can't see the chat while I'm doing yoga, so. All right, now let's come back to that tabletop. What we're gonna do now is a forearm stretch. I know from typing a lot, I also cycle, my forearms get pretty sore. So we're gonna stretch those real quick. We start again in that tabletop. I'm facing towards you now. And we just turn those forearms towards our body so that our fingers are facing towards our thighs. This is our forearm stretch. We can sit back to our heels to get a little bit more of a stretch. If we can't quite reach those fingers towards our thighs, we can always just face them out, however much we want to turn them. Throughout today's class, I'll be offering modifications like this one. So if at any point we need to take those modifications, feel free. We never want to be in pain in today's class. There might be times where we're a little uncomfortable, but we want to move away from pain. One more deep breath in, deep breath out. And then coming back to that tabletop position, our fingertips facing away towards our body. Now we're gonna bring our feet together and widen our knees, taking it back into child's pose here. This is a great resting pose. If at any time in today's class we need a break, we can come back to child's pose here, resting our forehead onto that ground, reaching forward with our fingertips. Taking a little rest here. Before walking ourselves back up, hugging those toes and taking it into downward dog. Downward dog is another resting pose that we'll come back to frequently throughout class. We want to make sure that we're really creating flexing tops with our fingertips. Imagine that we're pressing the outer of our palm, our fingertips into the ground, and the center of the palm is coming up off the ground. Our downward dog, making sure to hang that head, let it hang. From here, take it into a plank, creating a straight line from our shoulders down to our heels. We can think of this as the top of a push-up. Holding this plank for just a few moments. Deep breath in here, and then deep breath out. Before finally lowering down, bending those elbows, we can bring it to chaturanga or drop those thighs to the floor before lifting up into cobra. Hi, I'm teaching class. All right, let's get out of those and I'll grab it. Sorry about that. Cobra wanted to come check on me. From here, from this cobra position, we are going to tuck our knees again and take it into downward facing dog. Hold that for just a moment. Hold that for just a moment as downward facing dog. Then lifting our right leg straight towards the ceiling. Bend that knee to get a little bit of a wider stretch. Then bring the knee towards our chest. Place that foot between our hands. We're going to drop our knee to have a low lunge here. That shin, the top of the foot are touching the floor. We have our hips shifted. I'm going to turn so that you can see my legs from the other direction. Lunge. Now bring our hips back to center. Reach those arms up and shift forward one more time. And bringing those arms down. Tuck our back toes and bringing it back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Now we repeat on the other side. Lifting that left leg. And we can bend it here, feeling that stretch in our calves and in our hamstrings. Then bring it to our chest and place it in between our hands. I have kind of meaty thighs, you can move them physically in between your hands. Place your knee and your shin on the floor. We're coming up and pressing forward those hips. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Bringing those hips back, lifting those arms, one more press. Pressing those hips forward before bringing our arms down. And this time, as we tuck our back toe, we're gonna bring it to standing. Bring those feet together and then roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Hopefully our bodies are feeling warm now. We're going to start with our sun salutations. So let's lift our arms and then full on dive down. We can't touch the floor, that's perfectly okay. We can touch our thighs, touch our shins, our feet, wherever that hands fall. And we can hang our head here, shaking it, letting out any tension that may have built up throughout the week. Coming up just for a moment to a flat back. And then back down, curling back down before stepping into that plank position. Breath in here, deep breath out. Then lower those elbows to chaturanga or thighs to the floor. Back up to cobra. Then tucking those toes, coming back to downward facing dog. Taking a moment here, we can pedal those feet, lifting one heel up while one heel goes towards the ground. Deep breath in, one more. Then we're gonna lift one of our legs, lift it towards the ceiling. Before again, bringing it to our knee, bringing it between our hands. This is our warrior one that we're coming to. That front leg is bent. Let me turn here. That front leg is bent. The back leg is straight. The back of that the outer edge of that back foot should be close to parallel with the mat. And we reach forward, taking in a deep breath. And as we exhale, sinking deeper into that front leg. This is our warrior one. One more, deep breath in, and then deep breath out. Now transitioning to warrior two, we open our arms, and at the same time, open our hips. Our feet stay the same, but our hips now are facing the other wall. It's my side wall, but I guess it depends what we think is the front. That front leg is still bent. That leg is still straight. Deep breath in. And then as we exhale, sink a little bit deeper into that front knee. Now straighten that front knee, dropping our back arm and taking it into reverse warrior here. Our gaze can stay straight up, or we can look towards that back foot. One more deep breath in. On that exhale, bring it back to warrior two. Then back to warrior one. Sweep those arms down into plank. Bringing those elbows down, our chaturanga. Then coming up to cobra. Again, scooping into downward facing dog. Pedaling those heels again. Walking the dog, as it's sometimes known. Before we lift that other, here if we want that extra stretch, before bringing it to our chest and placing it in between our hands. Coming up to that warrior one position. I'm doing the same side so that you can still see, but you should be doing the other side. Our arms are up, that front knee is facing forward, outer edge of the back foot on the mat. Sinking in with that exhale. Then opening again to warrior two. Opening with warrior two. Deep breath in. On that exhale, sink a little bit lower. Now straightening that front foot, dropping that back arm, lifting into reverse warrior. Does our gaze naturally float towards the ceiling? Or do we want to turn our gaze down towards that back foot? Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Coming back to warrior two, one of my favorite poses. Then to warrior one. And then sweeping our arms down. But instead of coming to plank, we're going to step it up so that both feet are together. Staying here for just a moment before rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, arms come above our head, and we sink to chair. In this chair pose, our weight should be in our heels. My toes lift off the ground just a little bit, if we can see that. Our arms are above our head, our chest is up. As we take a deep breath in, exhale, sink a little bit lower. Before coming back to standing and swan dive down again. Hanging that head here. Taking it again. We can grasp opposite elbows. Hang here like a rag doll. Coming to a flat back for just a moment. Before again releasing down and coming to that plank. Lowering those arms again. Cobra. This time, if we want, we can take it to an upward dog, or we can stay in that cobra pose, upward dog, preparing us for our later camel and bow poses. And tuck those feet, take it to downward dog. Once again, lifting that right leg. And if you want that extra stretch, before bringing it between our hands. We're coming back to warrior one. We'll set us up for our next set of standing poses, warrior one, before we take it to warrior two. Really sinking in that front leg. Feeling the energy flow out through our fingertips to where our gaze is pointed. Now straighten both legs for reverse warrior. Now adding something new. We're gonna cartwheel our hands down into triangle. So both legs are straight here. We can't put that hand flat on the floor. That's perfectly fine. We can put it on our shin, on our thigh, on our ankle. We have both legs are straight. Back leg is still parallel to the back of that mat. Front toe is pointing straight ahead. We can imagine that we're in between two walls of a very narrow hallway. One side is pressing into our front, one wall. The other wall is pressing into our back. We can look up. Towards that hand.
The hand is inside the leg or outside the leg?
It is inside the leg.
Okay.
Inside the leg. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Now we're going to bring that top arm down. Place it onto the floor to stabilize us as we turn that front toe to the side. Now both toes are facing towards the side of that mat into a front stretch. We can just hang here for a moment, rock that head, clasping our elbows. That helps us hang. My goal is to get my elbows to the floor, but that has not happened yet. Stretching to that right leg. And then stretching to that other leg. Now we're going to turn both feet so that the toes are facing front for pyramid. So our body is facing front, so are our toes. Both legs are straight. And again, if we can't quite put our hands flat on the floor, we can hold on to our ankle, our shin. Sometimes I use textbooks to help support myself. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Bringing that head back down. Stepping into downward facing dog. Then again, coming into that plank, chaturanga. We can do cobra or upward dog before tucking into that downward facing dog. Repeat that sequence on the other side. Lift our other leg before bringing it to our chest, coming to rest between our hands. I'm going to turn this way so we can see. Up here for our warrior one. In. Breath in. Breath out. Warrior two. Deep breath in. As we exhale, sink a little bit lower. Gaze over our fingers. Then straighten both legs for a reverse warrior. Then pinwheel those arms down to triangle on the other side. Between two walls of a narrow hallway, gaze goes up towards that hand. Is one side easier than the other? Paying attention to these differences in our body. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now, once again, putting that top hand down, turning both toes, both feet towards the side of the mat, and a front forward fold here. Letting that head hang, we can grasp opposite elbows. And taking it to the left foot. And then to the right foot. Before turning both toes towards the top of the mat, our pyramid pose. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. We're gonna step those feet together now. Hanging that head down. And then rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, coming back to chair. Again, sinking into the heels. Arms above our head, chest is lifted. And then coming to standing. One more sun salutation. We're gonna swan dive down. Take it into a flat back before sinking down, stepping into that plank, bending our elbows, chaturanga, coming up to cobra or upward dog. Then this time, instead of downward dog, we're going to take it into child's pose. A moment to rest here. We can grab water, wipe off that sweat, whatever we need to do. And know that I'm sweating. I hope I'm not the only one. Grab some water. Taking it back to child's pose when you're done. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. We're gonna tuck our toes, take it to downward dog, and then walk our feet and our hands back to standing. All right, that completes the sun salutation portion. We're gonna move on to the rest of our standing poses for today, starting with tree. So with tree, we're gonna start with our right foot and placing it onto our ankle. If we want, we can move it higher up onto our calf onto our upper thigh. I'm gonna stay on the calf here. And we can hold this. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. If we want, we can challenge ourselves by moving that leg higher. Even if we fall, as I said at the beginning, it's called practice because it will never be perfect. We can also reach up, as I'm about to fall, as I reach up. If we fall, we just reset. We can reach those arms up if my balance will allow me today to tree. Deep breath in, deep breath out, arms back down, foot down to the other side. Tree on the other side, again, and start at that ankle. Move it as high as we would like. I'm gonna stay at that calf again for today. I took a MHAW class yesterday and I'm pretty wobbly from that. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Can we challenge ourselves a little bit on this side? Engaging that core, bringing our belly button towards our spine. If we want, we can reach up into whatever arm movement we want. I like to just do a V. Bringing those arms back to center, and then stepping down. That is our tree pose. Now moving into a dancer's pose. I'm going to try to see the thigh. We start putting our foot into the palm of our hand. We can lift up that arm, balance. Now we can choose to stay here, or if we want, we can start to lift that leg. As we lift it, take it into dancer's pose. That hip comes forward, and if we fall out of it, that's perfectly fine. We can just start fresh again, starting with that foot in our hand. I'm feeling that thigh open. Our foot in our hand. See if I fall as well. We're perfect together, perfectly imperfect. And then extending, if we want, into that full dancer's pose. Before lowering to the floor. Now let's come back. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and turn to do the other side. Again, you don't need to turn. This is just for visualization. Again, bringing that foot to our palm. Arm can come up to help balance. We can stay here or start to lift that foot. Might stay here on this side. Noticing if one side is stronger than the other, more stable than the other. My ankle is definitely more wobbly on this side. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Before lowering back down. Now once again, we are going to take it forward fold into that plank. Holding here, chaturanga, cobra, or a full upward dog. Before taking it back into that child's pose, we're going to reset here before we move into our sitting poses. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Lifting into that downward dog, taking a moment to pedal out those feet. before lifting one leg to the ceiling. This time, as we bring our foot forward, we're not going to place that foot down. We're placing the knee down into pigeon pose. Now, there are a lot of different ways to do pigeon pose. We can have our knee face the front, so we're sitting up on that knee, or we can bring our shin so that it's closer to being parallel with the mat. Let me turn so you can see that. We can have our knee facing towards the front of the mat, or we can turn so that the shin is closer to being parallel. And we'll stay here for a moment. That back leg is straight behind us. We can stay lifted up, or we can drop to the floor. For an even deeper stretch, we can take that arm and slide it through so that the shoulder touches the floor. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Coming back up if we're not already there. Unfolding our legs and taking it back to downward facing dog. We're going to repeat that on the other side. So lifting our opposite leg towards the sky, bringing that knee to our chest, but dropping it to the floor for pigeon on the other side. Again, we can stay on top of that leg, or we can let it drop to the floor, sinking further into our hips. You can stay up or take it down. This is where those modifications come in, whatever feels right for us. Deep breath in, deep breath out, deep breath in, deep breath out. Now, once again, we're going to untuck and bring it back to downward dog. I'm going to turn here so that I'm facing the side again. Downward dog. Step it out with our heels, lifting one heel at a time. Lowering into that plank, bending our elbows, coming into cobra, and then upward facing dogs. Now here we're actually going to come back to cobra. Lower back here for our bow pose. This is part what that upward facing dog was prepping us for. We're going to bend both knees, bring our chest up, we're supporting ourselves with our core, and reach back, grab those toes, taking it to our bow pose. If we can't quite reach those toes, we can just hold it here in cobra or upward facing dog. Or maybe we can reach one toe. Holding it here in bow pose, lifting that chest up, eyes towards the sky. Then slowly dropping those legs to the floor, pressing back, child's pose. Deep breath in, then deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now we're going to walk our hands so that we are sitting up with our heels tucked, our glutes onto our heels, then rising so that we are onto our knees. Getting ready for our camel pose. So first, let's just place our hands on our back. We're going to do a slight back bend here. lifting up with our chest, up and back. Coming back to center. Again, lifting up with our chest, up and back. Now we can continue to hold just that slight back bend, or we can take it into what's known as camel toes, or camel pose. For those of us who are beginners, I encourage us to tuck our toes so our heel is a little bit higher off the ground. Just like before, we're gonna reach up and back, but we continue to on those heels, letting the head drop, opposite direction. Deep breath in, deep breath out, deep breath in, deep breath out. Bringing it back to standing, or not standing, back to straight. We're going to do that just one more time. We can continue to do the slight back bend, or we can take it into camel pose again. Up and back just like before, reaching down to those heels. Letting that head fall if we're in camel pose. Deep breath in, deep breath out. On that exhale, come back to a straight back. Now we're going to transition so that now we are sitting onto our bottom into boat pose. So we'll start with our toes on the ground, and then we'll lift them up, sitting back into those sit bones. Arms are reaching forward. You can straighten our legs if you like, or just keep them bent. Holding this for a few breaths. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Dropping those toes. Deep breath in, deep breath out, before coming back to boat again. Deep breath in, deep breath out, deep breath in, deep breath out. Now dropping those toes in our hands towards the side. We're gonna lay with our back onto the floor. Our heels should be very close to our glutes. We should be able to touch our ankles with our fingertips. And what we're gonna do, placing those hands flat on the floor, press down with those hands as we lift our glutes up into bridge pose. Once we get to the top, we can roll those shoulders in, grab opposite hands, see if we can lift just a little bit further. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Before rolling down, vertebrae by vertebrae. We're gonna do that bridge pose again. If you've been practicing for a while, feel free to take it into wheel. Otherwise, we can continue to do bridge pose with me, pressing up with our hips as our hands press down. Once we get to the top, those shoulders can come in, and we can grasp opposite hands. Seeing if we can lift just a little bit further in this bridge pose. Deep breath in. And then as we exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae comes down. Now, this time we're gonna hug those legs into our chest using our hands, rocking side to side and back and forth. It's almost like a little back massage, lower back massage. Before taking our hands to the soles of our feet and spreading into happy baby pose. Imagining that those knees are drifting towards the ground. This is a great hip opener. And there's no way to do happy baby pose without looking a little bit silly. So if we look a little bit silly, that's perfectly okay. If we want, we can grab our hands to the outside of the soles of our feet instead of the inside. Notice how that changes anything in our stretch. Noticing if one hip is tighter than the other. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now bringing our knees back into our chest. We're gonna let one leg drop flat onto the floor. That other knee is still up towards our chest. We're gonna cross it over the body for a spinal twist. That same arm where the knee is crossed comes out, and we look over that hand. So right now my left leg is straight, my right leg is bent and crossed over my body, and my right arm is out. My gaze is looking over it. Keeping both shoulders on the ground here. Slowly coming back, both knees hugged into our chest. Now we switch legs. My right leg extends down. My left leg is bent and folds over my body. My left arm is out. My gaze is looking out over my left arm. Deep breath in, breath out. Both shoulders are still onto the floor. One more deep breath in, deep breath out, before bringing our legs back to our chest, rolling forward and back again, side to side, for that nice lower back massage. Now we're gonna take it into Shavasana. We can do this in multiple ways. If we want, we can lay on the floor, flat on the floor. We can also take it into a seated pose, or we can take it into child's pose. I like to just sit up with my legs crossed, but feel free to stay in whatever position is right for you. And we can close our eyes here. We're going to take a few minutes to reflect on our breath and reflect on our practice. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Focusing our thoughts onto those breaths, on the feeling of our diaphragm expanding and then releasing as we exhale. If we start to think about other things, our mind starts to wander, bring it back to these breaths. No judgment, no self-criticism for that wandering, just noticing and accepting here where our mind goes before bringing it back. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Take a moment and notice 3 things that you can hear. Keeping those eyes closed, pick out 3 things that you can hear right now. List them silently to yourself. I can hear the basketball dribbling on the floor above me. I can hear the keys from a co-rec worker who's walking by. And I can hear the exhale of my breath. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now take a moment and notice 3 things that you can feel. 3 things that you can feel. List them silently to yourself. I can feel the threading on my pants. I can feel the texture of the yoga mat underneath me. I can feel the muscles in my back as I take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Now, when we're ready, let's open our eyes and identify 3 things that we can see. I can see the green exit sign above the door. I can see the podium in front of me. And I can see the cord that I use to tie my yoga mat. Deep breath in, deep breath out. When we're ready, let's roll onto our side if we are laying down, and push ourselves into this seated position. Join me here if we are not already there. We're gonna bring our hands together and then bow, namaste, and then come back up. Thank you all so much for a great practice. This has been a Group X On Demand yoga class. As I said, my name is Laura. In addition to teaching on-demand yoga classes, I also teach cycling every Tuesday at 5:30. I'd love to see you all there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laura. It was relaxing as well as quite, sweat and bleeding kind of an experience. Thank you so much for your time and this exercise. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one sweating, so.
No, when you said, what are you feeling? That was the first thing that came to my mind. Oh, I can feel so much of that.
I'm glad I'm not alone then. All right.
Yeah.